Welcome back. This would be our session 3 of A Drug-Free Life. Last session we talked about tobacco and we talked about the lots of different chemicals that are involved in tobacco when somebody uses it. This session we are going to talk about marijuana. Now, marijuana is a drug that comes from the cannabis sativa plant. You may have heard marijuana called weed or pot. Now, the image that you see on your screen is a cannabis plant. Now, it's obviously not a plant that you would see just growing in your neighbor's garden or growing in some farmer's field. Yes, some farmers do grow a hemp plant. It is a different plant that I will explain to you. It's in the same family of plant, but it's used for very different things. When people use the drug, they typically will smoke the marijuana. Sometimes they will bake it into things like cookies, muffins, soup, etc. A couple of points to note about marijuana. There will be certain rules around it, like there is with alcohol, that you will need to be a certain age to use it, you won't be able to drive after using it, etc. Obviously, people wouldn't be able to use it at work too. And you also might be wondering about people using marijuana for medical purposes. Yes, there is medicinal marijuana. This is typically when other types of medicine aren't working for them. This does not mean that marijuana is taking away their sickness, but what it's doing is that it's helping them to deal with the symptoms. For example, if someone has cancer, they may be in a lot of pain, they might be throwing up a lot, and marijuana can help to kind of relieve that pain and help them to basically to reduce their throwing up. Now, when we talk about marijuana, the main chemical in marijuana is called THC, which stands for delta-9 tetrahydrocannabinol. This is what makes the difference when we talk about when a farmer grows hemp or if somebody is using marijuana as a drug. Hemp, when somebody grows hemp, number one, they have to have a special kind of license regulation in order to grow it as a farmer. It's very, very regulated. And the thing is that there is no THC in it. You may also have seen the hemp's lotion. Hemp's lotion also comes from the cannabis plant. Now, if you were to ever look on the back of that hemp's lotion, it actually says THC drug-free. Now, THC is the chemical that, again, goes into the brain that makes people feel the effects from marijuana. THC is also the chemical that people get addicted to. It's what makes the difference between medical marijuana and marijuana that comes from a drug dealer. Now, a drug dealer, they want people to get addicted to the drug because then they will keep coming back to buy more. So what they want to do is they want to increase the THC. So when somebody buys marijuana from a drug dealer, they don't know the amount of THC that is in that marijuana, and they also don't know if there's any other drugs that have been added into it, or for that matter, anything else that has been added, because sometimes drug dealers will add in things like cow manure. So when someone does use marijuana, things that it can do to their brain is that it can they might have a difficult time communicating, concentrating, learning, and remembering things. This happens because the marijuana goes into the brain and it changes the way that their brain functions. For example, when somebody uses marijuana, they kind of just want to sit around and they don't want to do anything. It makes people slow down and it makes them feel drowsy. Their lungs are obviously going to be affected as well. Their brain is being affected. It's increasing their heart rate. They can get red eyes. They can get feeling kind of dizzy. And even sometimes people can hallucinate from using marijuana, which means that they can see, hear, or feel things that are not actually there. They can have concentration and memory problems, slow reaction and poor coordination, which can increase their chance of car crashes as well. Essentially, their whole body is going to be affected Because when someone uses marijuana, guess what, guys? It goes into their body, goes into their bloodstream, and up to their brain. And then once again, our brain controls our whole body. What's important for us to understand is that the harms that go along with using marijuana. Hopefully you guys have learned some of those effects. Always remember that your brain controls your body, and when someone uses a drug, changes the way that their brain functions and is going to change the way that their body functions.